here, of course, on the World Wide Web, the Occupy Democrats Network, Washington Press. Man, we're all over the place. TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We're all over the place, and we appreciate you making us a part of your afternoon wherever you are. We have a lot to get to today. We're going to run down Super Tuesday coming up here in just a few minutes. The former Nevada Republican chairwoman, Amy Tarkanian, will be joining us in just a few minutes. She used to be a big Trumper, not anymore. What did Big Tuesday, Super Tuesday, whatever you'd like to call it, what does it mean for Republicans and Democrats? We'll be getting to that as well. And I do have some criticisms for Democrats today, believe it or not. It's not always Republicans that I go after, even though anybody that listens to me knows that I am very much anti-Donald Trump and I will be voting for Joe Biden. And I certainly have a lot more in common with Democrats in 2024 than I do Republicans. But I'm still a registered independent, and I call it as it is, and I really didn't like MSNBC's coverage of Super Tuesday yesterday, and I have some audio to prove why. Joining us, co-hosting with me today, is somebody who's been very active within the Democrat Party. I always enjoy getting her perspective, and she'll be co-hosting with me today. Ileana Dropkin joining us in studio.
Hello,
Ileana, I appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to hear your criticisms because I actually watched the coverage of the numbers coming in last night.
Now listen, I could sit here and I could play clips of all the Donald Trump lies in his speech yesterday. I'm not going to do it today. I could play this, Nikki Haley stuff because I still think Nikki Haley eventually is going to endorse Donald Trump. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. Every word out of Donald Trump's mouth is a lie, okay? And I'm really getting sick and tired of having to repeat it over and over. He's a despicable human being. He's going to be a convicted criminal and a felon. Anybody with a brain knows that about Donald Trump. He lied in his speech yesterday, fine. But I'm frustrated because, listen, Donald Trump had a good night last night, but this was expected by everybody. It's going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. We know that. There's a lot of people out there that still support Donald Trump. And if Joe Biden is going to defeat Donald Trump, then Joe Biden has to get the independents, people like me. He has to get people that are moderate Republicans to be on the safe side. And it depends which poll you look at. But there are some polls head-to-head. Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden. I'm not going to sit here and lie to all of you and say that Joe Biden's winning in every poll. He's not.
No, but I think that, hold on, I do think that that's going to change, though, as Trump is more in the forefront. So when you take all the noise out and Trump starts speaking more, I think you are going to start seeing that reverse a bit. I'm not sure you should always look at, and there's little microbes in the actual polling.
I hope you're right.
That reverses.
But I'm not sure.
I think it's still going to be close. I just don't think it is what it is.
Going by that, and you might be right, and I do agree with you that it's going to be close, then you can't have Joy Reid on MSNBC saying these types of things, generalizing about Republicans. Listen to what Joy Reid said on MSNBC yesterday, and she is taking a lot of flack for it, and rightfully so, talking about Republicans and how they vote.
Republican voters don't vote that way. They don't vote based on economics or based on the benefits they're getting economically from the president. They're increasingly, from the Tea Party on, they're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job they want. A black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges, get rid of DEI. That is what they're voting on. They're just voting specifically on racial animus. At this stage, it isn't about economics.
No.
Okay, let me be very clear. There are certainly some Republicans that vote that way. There are certainly some Republicans that didn't vote for Barack Obama, not because he's a Democrat, because he's black. There are certainly some Republicans, all they care about is the border, and they don't want brown people in the country. But that's not what Joy Reid said. I know plenty of Republicans that do not vote that way, that either are not supporting Donald Trump, even some that might be voting for Joe Biden. So for Joy Reid to go on MSNBC, and she didn't say some Republicans, she said Republicans, are not voting on economics, they're just voting on race. You can't make blatant statements like that because it makes her look bad, it makes MSNBC look bad, and it makes Democrats look bad. You can't take an entire party and call them all racist. And you know what that does?
I agree with you.
It takes independence and it rubs them the wrong way.
I agree with you on that one, but not all. I don't consider her a political. I don't consider her political. I consider Nicole Wallace a political figure, and there's I can't think of the top of my head the rest of them that I
Jen
actually watch all
Psaki?
the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
She's like they're a little bit more authentic, a little more real. They actually know what they're talking about. I find Joy Reid a little left of left
All right,
even for
so
me. So she's a
going
little
by that,
too
I have a
extreme, yeah.
Jen Psaki clip I want to play next. But Joy Reid is a talking head for MSNBC.
She is, yes.
And for her to make those type of generalizations is wrong. And it can't happen. Why? It's bad for Democrats because it rubs independents like me and even moderate Republicans the wrong way.
Well, it's just ignorant.
Not every Republican is a racist. There are some that are. There are a MAGA crowd that are. But
Well,
if
there's
but
also
never,
some Democrats that are racist. It's just an ignorant statement. I
She
agree with
can't
you.
talk
Yeah,
like that
it's
because
ignorant.
you're taking votes away from Joe Biden when you talk like that because it rubs some people the wrong way. She's entitled to her opinions, but it's moronic statements. Now let's go to Jen Psaki, and this got me really pissed off as well. I get it. You can say Republicans might be obsessed about the border. It is a crisis. Democrats and Republicans are concerned about the border. Now, is it priority number one? Are they all going to rape our kids? Of course, there's a lot of rhetoric on the far right that wants to scare you. But you can't look me in the eye and tell me that it's not an issue and we should all be concerned about it. Well, Jen Psaki and Rachel Maddow yesterday were mocking West Virginians for worrying about, immigration. And I have a lot of respect for Jen Psaki. I think she's a very intelligent woman.
Yeah.
But I think they made a mistake here. And listen, Rachel Maddow's not a dummy either. She's a very intelligent lady. But I want you to listen to this short clip about them mocking West Virginians for just being concerned about the border.
I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the number one issue. Again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very contested area.
Build the wall. What?
You're mocking voters for being concerned about the border. That's wrong. Now, if you want to talk about policy and the orange turd, build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it, focus on that.
I don't think that was their intent on that one. I actually
But that's
listened to
the
that
way
exchange.
it came off, though.
I didn't take it that way. I just took it that they are so far removed from where the border and actually the towns that are having issues with clearly we have an immigration. We've always had an immigration problem. The stuff that Trump is saying and those people are believing his I don't know what you want to call them, his Trumpers, his MAGA, what they're believing is completely wrong.
Yes.
These are not the thugs and the drug addicts and the horrible people that are coming to rape your kids. And the stuff that they're saying is horrific and completely wrong. So I think that's what it actually has eclipsed. The border has now eclipsed abortion in
Well,
the
here's
top
what I
concerns.
think, Ileana. They're both important issues.
They're important
And
issues.
when you mock voters, and that's the way it came off, because a lot of people in West Virginia worry about, the border, and I do believe it's a crisis. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they might think or say, but when you mock them for worrying about the border crisis, then that's not good for Democrats. Now let's focus on other things. Let's focus on the bipartisan bill that Donald Trump and the MAGAs on the far right didn't want to support.
Well, that is going back to you said that is the Democratic problem right now, right? That gave way to the rise of Trump. It is the fact that my party now, I'm a proud Democrat. I say it to everybody, and that my party is seen as the elitist. We are, and in fairness,
They sounded like that when they started talking about
because
West
these
Virginians.
are all highly intelligent people. That is kind of the problem.
But I know
They're
a lot
not,
of I know a lot of highly intelligent people that don't mock voters because they're concerned about the border.
Well, but they're not in that business either, right? They live in a bit of a bubble.
I'm concerned about the border, and I'm not going to attack somebody that is concerned about the border. Now, I will go after you if you think Donald Trump is the end all to the crisis at the border.
Right, and we
But
all
I-
mock those.
But the bottom
not
line
the
here
issues.
is that if Joe Biden is going to win this election, which I hope he does, and I believe he still will, but if Joe Biden's going to defeat Donald Trump, people on MSNBC need to stop generalizing as all Republicans think this way, or God forbid, if people are concerned about the border. You have to stop talking like that because, quite frankly, I don't like it.
Well, if Joe Biden's going to win, Joe Biden has to get out of there and talk. It's not going to be because of MSNBC, and it's not going to be because of surrogates.
I agree. But if you go on social media and you go on a lot of different websites today, Republicans are going after Joy Reid, and they're going after Jen Psaki and Rachel Maddow. Listen, a lot of the people that are very nasty that are going after them are the same people that support Donald Trump. So
right,
yes,
they're not
I would say that they don't
right.
have credibility, but at the same time, I am saying as a registered independent that leans to the left on a lot of issues, Joy Reid has to stop talking like that. And MSNBC, Fox News does that every day. Okay, I go after Fox News and OAN and Newsmax. MSNBC shouldn't be doing the same. Okay, and for Joy Reid to say that every Republican is basically a racist. That's really what she's saying. She's saying they don't care about economics. They only care about race. You're calling every Republican a racist, and it's a blatantly ignorant generalization.
So ignorant.
You can't talk like that, and you're not going to win over independents, and Joe Biden's not going to defeat Donald Trump if you talk like that.
My point is, I agree with you on that. It's just MSNBC is not going to be the reason why if Biden loses, that Biden loses. It's going to be because they didn't let Biden be Biden, right? I would have him out there. He is charming. He's charming on the stump. Let him go out there, even if he makes his gaffes. Everyone's used to it. So let him go out there and be with the people. It's not going to be surrogates. It's not going to be MSNBC. It's not like most of those voters are not watching MSNBC.
And I totally understand that. But at the same time, Joy Reid has a large platform. Most of those people that watch Joy Reid are on the left. I understand that. And I go after, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. They say worse things on a daily basis. I wouldn't refute that, right? I'd agree with that. All I'm simply saying is this. If people want to ensure that Joe Biden gets reelected and that Donald Trump doesn't win, let's focus on the despicable things that Donald Trump has done, the despicable things that Donald Trump has said. Let's focus on Joe Biden's record, which I actually think is a pretty good one.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's done a very good job.
But you can't attack an entire Republican Party the way that Joy Reid does. And I understand that Jen Psaki and Rachel Maddow might have had a moment there where they sounded like elitists, even though I do have a lot of respect for both of them. You shouldn't be mocking West Virginians.
They are kind of elitist, though.
But you shouldn't be mocking West Virginians for worrying about the border. Notice how I didn't even put Donald Trump and Joe Biden in that sentence. They're mocking them for worrying about the border, regardless of what people think. Okay? Regardless. That's a big issue in this country, and it is a crisis. And I'm not going to sit here and blame Joe Biden for all the issues at the border because that wouldn't be fair. But at the same time, stop doing what Fox News does. Stop doing what, an OAN or Newsmax does. It's not going to work. You're not going to win anybody over. And with that being said, Ileana, I do want to bring somebody on the show now who's made quite a lot of appearances, by the way, on MSNBC.
Yes, I watched.
So I'll ask her a little bit about this. Of course, I'm talking about the former chair party here in the great state of Nevada. Of course, I'm talking about Amy Tarkanian, who joins us right now on the show. Amy, I do appreciate you coming on. How are you?
It's always a pleasure. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Amy. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, I started off the show today doing something that I normally don't do, and that's criticizing MSNBC. I'm sure you saw the clip of Joy Reid, who basically is calling all Republicans racist. I mean, that's really what she said. She said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she basically said that, Republicans don't vote on economics. They just vote on race. She made a gross generalization.
Wow.
And while there are some Republicans that do vote like that, I would never characterize you or every Republican that way. And I just think it's not helping the Democrats when you hear talking heads say those types of things. I'm sure you would agree.
100%. And that's actually pretty disappointing because, as you and I have discussed time and time again, it's nice to have a healthy democracy. You want to be able to have civil discourse and work well with your counterparts as much as possible. So by her spewing such vile lies, that doesn't help at all. And that's, I think, shame on MSNBC for allowing her to continue talking like that. If they do, I hope they reprimand her.
Well, wait, hold on. Hi, Amy. In fact, we have a mutual, very close friend, TK Crab, says hello.
Oh, wonderful.
And I know she's listening. So the only thing I'd say about that is, and you can't, they brought Joy Reid in to be Joy Reid, right? So you can't, like, she's a talking head. It's an opinion. It's like a columnist. You can't have networks. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, okay, there is a difference between a journalist and an opinionated individual.
Right, and
now,
she's
I
not.
myself, I'm considered an opinion person.
Right.
Now, I have been reprimanded by a couple of different networks for
Well,
not
they shouldn't.
following the narrative, and
And
I
they
wasn't spewing racist rhetoric about individuals. It just didn't fit their narrative at the time.
Right.
And
So
so,
I agree.
and that's what you are, though. You're an opinion person, but you have to realize, yes, we have the First Amendment, but you also have a huge responsibility to your audience to be honest.
Listen, I talk about this when it comes to the Sean Hannitys and the Tucker Carlsons and the Laura Ingrams. All three of them I consider to be very despicable human beings, but they do this type of thing on a daily basis. I'm not saying that Joy Reid does this on a daily basis. I'm just saying what she did yesterday was wrong. And what listen, you don't want Donald Trump to win. I don't want Donald Trump to win, regardless of what your opinions are on Joe Biden. I'm saying when you make gross generalizations about anybody, whether it be a sexuality or a race, whatever the case may be, in this case, a gross, generalization about the entire Republican Party, it's wrong. I would say the same thing about what they do on Fox News every day when they make generalizations about the Democrats. They support pedophiles. To me, this is just as bad.
Yeah.
You're saying that every Republican only votes on race and they don't care about the economy, and it's just wrong. And you're not going to win over independents and reasonable Republicans when you talk like that.
So
No, you're not. And I will say too, you mentioned Biden and Trump. This is going to be a nail biter.
Yeah.
And these two individuals are really going to have a come to Jesus moment with their campaign staff and their strategy, because they no longer, it's not primary season anymore. So you can't be sitting there and kowtowing to the far right and to the far left.
Right.
You are literally going to win on the third party vote, plain and simple. And so, I think I agree with you 100%. You can't be talking like this. It doesn't help. It doesn't help either candidate.
We expect Donald Trump to talk like this, right? In the lies of the speech, and I didn't even play it because every speech he has these days is full of lies. But did it surprise you at all that he didn't even mention Nikki Haley's name? Obviously, Nikki Haley now out of the race. Nikki Haley also didn't make any announcements of endorsing Donald Trump. So I guess my question to you, Amy, do you think eventually Nikki Haley's going to endorse Donald Trump? Where do you think that's going to go?
I sure hope not. In her speech, she actually pointed out that it wasn't up to her and her followers to go and support Trump. It's up to Trump to come and woo, those followers, those voters. And so she put it in his corner, which I think was wise. It's not her fault. It'll be his fault if he can't bring them over.
What bothers me is, and again, I have no respect for Carrie Lake, but Carrie Lake does an interview on CNN yesterday, and she's attacking Nikki Haley for not supporting Donald Trump. You took a lot of flack over the last several years for not supporting every Republican running for office, particularly here, in the state of Nevada. And Republicans, just the personal attacks they put on you, a thing or two about this. Donald Trump went after Nikki Haley's husband recently, a man who's serving overseas, a good man, a hero, and Nikki Haley's making the case, well, just because he has an R next to his name, that somehow Nikki Haley has the obligation to support Donald Trump. I just find it to be so absurd.
It is, and it's disgusting. There shouldn't be nobody serving in the White House that attacks our military, plain and simple. You mentioned Carrie Lake. I don't know what her strategy is. She seems to just be grasping at straws, because while she was running, she said that, all the McCain Republicans should leave. And then she tried to backpedal recently and make peace with Meghan McCain. And Meghan was pretty blunt in her response and saying, no peace, bleep.
Yep.
And she stood firm.
Right.
And so, now you've got Carrie Lake. Not only did she say in an interview, I guess, that you happened to see the attack on Haley, I missed that, but on social media,
Right.
she disrespectfully uses her first name, which she doesn't go by her first name. She goes by her middle name, which
Right.
a lot of people do. But they somehow seem to think that this is a dig at Nikki Haley.
It's racist. Let's call it. It's bigoted. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's
So
racist
I
and
guess
it's-
there you go. There's one Republican that would fit Joy Reid's narrative.
Well, listen, you're right. So here's what I said, though. If Joy Reid said there's a base of the MAGA Republicans that vote that way, I wouldn't have a problem with it. In fact, I'd probably agree with it, right? But she didn't say that. She generalized the entire
See, and
party.
I listened to
Yeah.
her enough to kind of think that was just a slip. That was just a slip up. I watch enough.
That's a pretty big slip
Joy
up.
Reid to-
Okay.
Yeah, but it happens
Yeah.
in the heat of the moment. I'm sure they spent tons of time on the air, and
Yeah.
you get caught up in the heat of the moment.
Okay. So
but
Ileana, here's what I would say to that.
I do think that,
If in fact that's true, then she should go on the air today and say, "Hey, here's what I said.
and
Here's what
maybe
I
she
meant."
will.
And if she does, then I will respect that. But I do hear a lot of MAGA Republicans out there when Donald Trump says something ridiculous or idiotic, and they say, "Well, here's what I think he meant by that." I don't want to listen. If she misspoke or she generalized, just apologize and go on the air today, and then we
Right.
can all forget about it. And I agree with you.
And
if that's the
understand that
case.
everybody's still humans, right? And I kind of take issue with, we sit here and we just pick apart every little thing that these politicians or talking heads say.
Yeah.
And they're still human. They still slip up.
Absolutely, there's no question.
And-
But Ileana, all I could say is this: I've been on the air for 20 years, and nobody is more anti-Donald Trump than I am. I've never
I'm
once
with you on that one.
right,
though.
but I've never once said that all Republicans are this or that or racist or this. I've never made a statement like that,
Right.
and I never will. And if I
And-
ever,
And
it's
not only that, Ileana, but she's a professional.
yeah,
She is, yeah.
Knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yes, is everyone perfect? Absolutely not. But she's a professional, and this is a massive responsibility
Right.
that she should take very seriously, and know that there are millions of people who probably hang on to every word she says as Bible. So you need to be really careful with
Like
the way
Trump
that you phrase
supporters.
things. Yes,
Like- yeah.
exactly. That's the
Yeah.
perfect example.
yeah. There's no question. There's so many Trump supporters out there. The man could say the Earth is flat, and then everybody would say the Earth
and
is
that
flat.
in there lies the problem with
Right.
with where we're at.
Well, it's a
is that
cult.
There's just no way to get real information. And Amy, I
Right.
do agree with you. I agree. It's a huge responsibility on everyone's part. I think we kind of hold my side a little more
Mhm.
to the fire on that than we do the other side. We just say, oh, it's just Trump. He's just going to say all that. And
Yeah.
it's, there's nothing we can do about, it's just,
Yeah.
just all but we on our side it's just no they should take him off the air. No, they should.
I disagree with that. I think
Never
both
do
sides,
that. That
once
was-
again, from my personal experience of being on pretty much every network, the pendulum swings with the conversations and with the way that the politics are going at the time. And if you don't fit that narrative, they
Right,
will
but
not have
the
you
nerds
on for a
the other
certain
side
time.
can lie, right? They can just tell falsehood.
But what I'm saying is, I've been on panels where I know whether if you're on the right or you're on the left, these people are just more than willing to spew talking points than to be honest. And I've been there. I've witnessed it on
Yeah.
both
Yeah,
sides.
I
So
agree
Amy,
with you,
I get what you're saying. Maybe you'll agree with me on this, maybe you won't, but I do feel like a lot of the crazy right-wing, pro-Putin, Russia, Trump won the 2020 election. There's a lot of more conspiracy theorists and crazy stuff, in my opinion. I'm not saying there's no crazy stuff coming from the left, but
Right.
it feels like there's a lot more these days coming
Yes.
from the right. I'm not
Yes.
saying that they're innocent, and that's why I'm calling out Joy Reid, because I think what she did was wrong yesterday. But
Yeah, no, and I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And I think that's also that has to do too with, remember, what was it, Q?
Yeah.
You had the whole Q thing going on.
Yep.
And so you had people literally sitting in front of their laptops for hours just waiting for the next Q code to pull up.
And speaking of you, Amy, I don't even know. You just reminded me of something. I don't know if you saw this clip. I was going to play it later. Marjorie Taylor Greene doing an
Yes, I was
interview
going to bring that up.
from the BBC, and the BBC reporter asked her about Jewish space lasers. Now, why? Well, because on Marjorie, this is not,
Because she
you know,
said it.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media, she endorsed an idea that Jewish people are pointing space lasers in California into forests to start fires. Now, obviously,
Oh my
it's an
gosh.
absurd and ridiculous thing.
But people will believe that. That's the problem.
And instead of Marjorie Taylor Greene lying, which she does all the time anyway, and just saying, no, I don't believe that, or don't say that, or whatever, she says F you to the
F you.
reporter.
Yeah.
Is this where we're at as a society now, where politicians, when asked questions, which I think was a reasonable one, they just swear at these reporters? And by the way, this is a BBC reporter who's been doing this for decades, and people have a lot of respect for her. What did you make of that?
Brian, even if it weren't a reasonable question, you
Right.
don't respond that way, plain and simple. I mean,
Right.
it's so classless. And it's a reflection not only on her as an individual, but you mentioned this was a BBC. This is an overseas reporter. The world is watching, and that was your response. So now it's even a reflection somewhat on our nation and on our leaders as a whole. It's disgusting.
And there are far right-wing talking heads that are actually praising Marjorie Taylor Greene. Can you imagine if Ocasio-Cortez was doing a red carpet or anything, and that somebody asked her a question that maybe she didn't like, and she said F you, which by the way,
actually, that did happen recently. Wasn't she? She was at a movie theater, and there were protesters that were being obnoxious and wouldn't leave her alone. And so instead of saying F you, she got up and removed herself from the situation.
She showed class. And, I just find it to be where the far right wing of the party is today, Amy, which obviously you are not a part of, where if they don't like a question or they're being challenged. I remember Mike Johnson. Remember when he became the House Speaker and they asked him about truth, which is how he tried to overturn the outcome of the elections. And this despicable lady, House Republican, said, "Oh, just shut up." You remember that? And it's like, that's a reasonable question. And I know Mike Johnson doesn't want to answer it, but Mike Johnson is the guy that tried to overturn the outcome of the elections, right?
Right. Let him try to dig himself out of that hole.
Right. Guess what? Don't tweet out, or don't at least agree with Jewish space lasers. Don't do stuff like that. And then reporters won't ask you questions. Don't defy a subpoena for a year. And then maybe you won't face all these felony counts. Don't sexually abuse a woman and a woman, and then maybe you won't be found liable for sexual abuse. These people put themselves in these positions.
How about this though? So Brian, you're pointing out, how did we get here? And it starts from the top. And when you have somebody who is basically a breath away, possibly from being reelected as our commander-in-chief, calling the former UN ambassador under his wings a bird brain and stupid because he doesn't like the fact that he's being challenged, especially by a woman. That sends a green light down to the state parties, to the county parties, to also misbehave and mistreat anybody who challenges their strategy or is not 100% of a pure MAGA Republican. Now, I would love to make America great again. I don't have a problem with a number of his policies. I just have a problem with him overall and his character, or lack thereof, and the way that he has basically told everyone, and he's now said it numerous times, and so has his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, on an interview. They said Romney Republicans, that's what he calls them, are no longer welcome. And Laura Trump even said that, Republicans who aren't in lockstep with Trump will be removed. What kind of strategy is that? Because at the end of the day, it's a math game. So it's you need to add people, not subtract people. And this is where they're going to have a real tough time bringing people back into the fold when you're coming up against, Joe Biden in the general. You'll have some people that will hold their nose because they just can't stomach a Joe Biden. But how many are those actually going to do that? Or are they going to stay home? Or are they going to do third party? It's really stupid on their part.
There are a lot of Republicans in this country, I believe, that are in your position. You're a staunch Republican. You've been a Republican your whole life. You can't stand Donald Trump. You can't stand the person. You can't stand who he is. You like some of his policies. But on the other side, you're not a Democrat. You don't like a lot of the policies being put forth by the Democrats, but you also understand that Joe Biden isn't a liable rapist, and he's not somebody who makes speeches every day and literally lies about everything. And he has a decent family. I know Hunter's had his issues, but we know Beau Biden and what he did in his life. So I'm sure you get this question every day. I've asked you this question and I'll ask it again. If not Donald Trump, what are you going to do come November? What are all these
No.
Republicans like you going to do in November? What are they going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And I've had numerous conversations with friends who are like-minded, and they're also at a loss. I think most of us are saying not just no, but hell no to Trump because of also the way that we've been mistreated by those within the party ranks. You know, who do you think you are telling us that we're not Republican enough? You know, it's ludicrous. It's a bunch of thuggery and bullies, and nobody wants to be a part. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Most reasonable people don't want to be a part of that.
Sure.
So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure where we're all going to land.
Let me ask it a different way then. What is it that Democrats need to do? Or what is it that you want from Joe Biden that maybe could have you say, you know what? I'm still not all in with the Biden administration, but I think I might just vote for Joe Biden come November. Is there something that he can do or the messaging that the Democrats could do that could get somebody like you to say, you know what? I think I'm going to vote for Joe Biden.
Well, this is easy. It's pretty simple. And I think this is also a way for him to still solidify his base and to have soft Democrats and independents you know, feel okay about having him reelected as well, despite party affiliation. When he gives his State of the Union address tomorrow night, he needs to be extremely detailed and I think making sure that everyone feels confident that he's going to address the border, illegal immigration. He's going to address inflation and the economy. And those two areas right there, I think you would have people across the board saying, okay, well, I think I can take a deeper dive with this guy. But if he doesn't address those two scenarios in particular, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. And it'll be the best case scenario for somebody like Trump to get reelected. Now, I know that there are other kitchen table issues that people are concerned about. You know, Democrats are smart enough to go back to their playbook and talk about reproductive rights, but that's something that most Republicans wouldn't be so stressed out over to some extent. So really, if he focuses on the economy and illegal immigration, then I could possibly take a deeper dive.
But what, okay, I hear you. That's very fair. But what if he says, listen, we have a bipartisan bill. We worked with some MAGA Republicans on this.
Exactly.
We have this bill put in place. We worked really hard on it. And so did Republicans. And I give those Republicans credit. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans will not allow us to pass this bill. Is that not good enough if he says that? Because that's the truth. I'm not sure what else Joe Biden could do right now.
Well, unfortunately, I think this is going to be a very ugly campaign. We're going to be hearing more of "it's your fault." No, it's your fault. No, I want to hear what is your answer. What is your response to the problem? I don't want to hear anymore that it was the Republicans' fault or it was the Democrats' fault.
Yeah,
I actually was pretty pleased that there was bipartisan effort to some extent on that bill that you're referring to.
right.
But the more I'm learning about it, it was still allowing, you know, upwards of, I think, 2 to 3 million illegal immigrants to still pour over our borders. And we still have to deal with the ones who are in our nation now. You know, you have these sanctuary cities that are completely overwhelmed. What are we going to do with these people? These are people. I don't care now at this point if they're illegal or legal. How are we going to take care of everyone?
If I'm Joe Biden, here's what I do. Let's rebargain. Let's get back to the bargaining table. I want Mike Johnson sitting right next to me, and let's get this done. Tell me exactly what you don't like in the bill. Let's work together. We are both not going to be 100% happy, but let's negotiate. And I would say right in the speech tomorrow, Mr. Johnson, I am ready tomorrow morning to sit with you and all the MAGA Republicans. Let's get a bill done this week, and let's not call Donald Trump. This is between us.
Yeah,
This
put the
is, you know,
speaker on notice. You
Right.
know, he has to go.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. I would love to hear Joe Biden say that, but I also think it's fair to criticize MAGA Republicans for not passing this bill when you have Mike Johnson that said it's dead on arrival on my desk.
Well,
That
and it's a well-known factor that Donald Trump did put the
Right.
kibosh on it
Right.
for political purposes.
Right. Donald
But-
Trump should have nothing to do with this. He's not an
Yeah.
elected official right now.
It's well
Right.
known to insiders, but then again, that people are listening to what
Right.
Trump is saying.
Yeah.
They're not listening to really what the truth is. And the fact is, we need a certain amount of immigrants. We need them for
Right.
to keep our economy going. So
Yep.
the whole thing of it allows actually it allows what we need for
Our immigration system has been broken for
not-
decades, and
we-
and
we
I
need
blame presidents going all the way back to Reagan.
Agree.
I mean, come on.
Agree.
Yeah, but now is it?
because it's so complicated. It's such a complicated issue. It really
I think that I honestly think that both Democrats and Republicans make it complicated. I think that they could actually sit down and start chipping away at it. They don't want to. They like to use it as a political pawn.
I partially agree with what you said, but I do give Democrats credit for, going to the table
Trying,
with
yeah.
Republicans and trying. I wish this happened a couple years ago,
Yeah.
but the bottom line is I agree with you. Put Mike Johnson on notice.
Yeah.
Let's sit down at the table tomorrow. And then it puts the Republicans in a very defensive situation. There's no such thing as a perfect bill, but that's what Donald Trump used as language, saying, unless it's perfect, nope, we don't want to do it. There's
well,
no
it's because he needs
Right.
the issue. It's not
Right.
wants, he needs the issue.
But that's why I ask Amy
Right.
those questions, because if Joe Biden's going to win, and I think all of us would agree we don't want Donald Trump to be president again, then Democrats and Joe Biden need to reach out to people like the Amy Tarkanians of the world to make sure that Joe Biden wins re-election. In order to do that, they need to talk to you. They need to hear from
Right.
people like you.
Because otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to see probably the biggest third-party vote in history, even
Right.
though that person wouldn't win, or you're going to see the most people stay home out of
Right.
apathy.
Agree. Well, Amy, it is always a pleasure having you on the show. I always love picking your brain, and I respect the heck out of you. And as I always say, if Donald Trump's not going to win, and we all hope he doesn't, it's going to be because of people like you. Really, Joe Biden needs moderate Republicans,
Yeah.
reasonable Republicans, intelligent Republicans. There are plenty of you out there. You're outspoken. I wish we'd have more outspoken Republicans like yourself out there, but you've also been through it because of being honest, and that's why I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate you coming on. And if you do go back on MSNBC anytime soon, tell Joy Reid I said hi. Okay.
And if the party doesn't want people like you, not only will the Democrats love to have you, but I say then start like what used to be the real Republican Party
Yeah.
and leave the 30% of MAGA people to their whatever they're doing
Yeah.
and, go back to where everything was years ago,
Sure.
where we did reach across
Yeah.
the table, right? It's
Sure.
that old.
Well,
word,
if
that's
you
what
look
we
at a number of the states, Nikki only won 2, unfortunately. But the other states, it's not like Donald Trump won as an incumbent by massive amounts.
Exactly.
There were some states where they were, she had 40% plus of the vote. And
Okay,
that
so
right there
some of
should be a
that's a
wake
bit-
up call.
But some of that is also a bit like the closed primaries. He won big, and the ones that were open primaries where you could get the Democrats who were basically, very, very, very against Trump.
Yeah.
I think they crossed over and voted. I think there's
Yeah.
evidence of that, and then nonpartisan. So
I will say this in closing, though, because we were talking about the upcoming speech, Joe
Yeah.
Biden's speech tomorrow. I would love to hear Joe Biden bring up Nikki Haley's name in his speech tomorrow. I would love to hear him say, if you want a spot in my administration, when I win re-election, you got it. We don't agree on everything, Nikki Haley, but I would never insult your husband. He's a hero, just like my son, Bo, was a hero. And I would never say the things that Donald Trump has said about your
That
family.
would actually be, I think, very, very nice to hear.
Yeah.
However, I think the fact too that she's ruled out a possible third party run herself and to remain
Yeah.
a Republican, maybe she's just keeping the door open for 2028 like Governor Ron DeSantis is.
Possibly, but I tell you right now, it's a great tactic if Joe Biden brings up Nikki Haley in his speech tomorrow.
Well, it would actually exude kindness and empathy, which Trump doesn't do. So
and I think
Yep.
he will, because
And
that is Biden. Like
And
he
I
is.
don't know if he will, but I'll say this. I can tell you right now, Joe Biden is a man of empathy.
Yes.
People can criticize him for being too old or this and that. The man is a decent man that has empathy. He's a good family man. He cares about his family.
and he's been through so
Yeah,
much tragedy
yeah.
in his life. Like
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah.
where the empathy
Yeah.
comes from. Is
the
when,
only
he just
tragedy
was-
that Donald Trump cares about is if his orange makeup,
Money.
if he gets out of orange makeup when he wakes
oh,
up
dear
in the morning.
God.
This is Amy Tarkanian. Please say hello to your husband, Danny, for me. I always appreciate it when you're taking the time to come on this show. A breath of fresh air. Amy Tarkanian, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's
Thank
nice talking with you, Ileana.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Amy. Have a great rest of your week.
You
Thank
too.
you. That's
you.
Amy Tarkanian, everybody. She is the former Republican chair in the great state of Nevada. She used to be a Donald Trump supporter. She's had personal time with Donald Trump on many of occasions. She is no longer a Donald Trump supporter. Those are the Republicans that Joe Biden needs to win over.
These are the Republicans we
and-
need more of, like speaking out and in real positions.
But if you
again.
hear from Amy Tarkanian, she certainly is not saying immediately she's going to be voting for Joe
Right.
Biden either. Now, I talk to a lot of reasonable Republicans out there that will be voting for Joe Biden. Anthony Scaramucci does this show all the time. Joe Walsh, he did the show yesterday. He's going to be voting for Joe Biden. These are staunch Republicans. But if you're going to win over somebody like Amy, she makes some valid points. But I think if Joe Biden brings up Nikki Haley, I think it's a great strategy to bring her up. And I think if he talks a little bit more about this bill that Republicans refuse to pass, I think if you get into this stuff, and don't be so nicey nice, okay? Don't be so nice. Call out Donald Trump for the things he said. He wants the economy to burn. He wants the economy to blow up in flames. Does that make America great again? He will not support any bipartisan bill when it comes to the border. He's been open about saying that to House, Senate Republicans. So I think Joe Biden, this is a really important speech tomorrow. If there was ever an important speech tomorrow, it is tomorrow. You need to prove to the American people that you're still fit for the job and you're mentally well. Now, I'm not questioning him on that. I think Joe Biden's doing fine. But there's a lot of people in this country that think Joe Biden is too old to be in office. So he needs to prove tomorrow that he's doing fine and he's ready to go and he needs to finish the job, which I'm sure he'll say tomorrow. All right, here's what we're going to do, Ileana. We are going to take a quick break and then we're going to take your phone calls. Do you disagree with my criticisms of some of the MSNBC hosts? Maybe you do. I want to hear from you. What do you think about Joe Biden's speech tomorrow? What do you want to hear from him? If you're not a Donald Trump supporter, or even at this point, if you're on the fence, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to hear from Joe Biden tomorrow? Criticisms I've had for Joy Reid in the statement she made yesterday. Do I think all Republicans are racist? Do I think all Republicans just vote based on race? No, I don't. Very irresponsible statements, in my opinion, from Joy Reid, and it's not helping Democrats or middle-of-the-road people that might vote Democrat. We're taking your phone calls next. The numbers to call, 702-221-7283. The number again, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Ileana Dropkin is co-hosting with me today. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. We got Ileana Dropkin in studio co-hosting with me today. And if you're just joining us, you missed a lot. We just had Amy Tarkanian on, former Nevada Republican chair. Criticisms on both sides of the aisle. Obviously, nobody wants Donald Trump to lose more than I do. But at the same time, we need to call out, in my opinion, those that are attacking middle-of-the-road people and attacking people, an entire party. That's not going to help Joe Biden any. I did have some criticisms for Joy Reid and Jen Psaki. We played some of that audio for you. And I believe in Joe Biden's entire political career, I'm not sure any speech is more important than this speech tomorrow night. I think it's the most important speech in his career. I really feel that way. He has to bring up Nikki Haley. He has to bring over some of those middle-of-the-road people and even Republicans. And I think tomorrow he has a huge opportunity to do it. What do you want to hear from Joe Biden? What do you think about some of my criticisms for some of those MSNBC hosts and contributors? 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Linda. Linda's first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Linda.
Hi. I have a question.
Okay.
Why didn't you push back a little bit on that guest of yours, Amy, who said that she needs to hear Joe talk about immigration and the economy? Has she not seen what he's done so far? I mean, is she blind?
Sure. So no, I don't think Amy is blind, but here's what I will say. I responded to her by explaining to her the bipartisan bill, right? I brought that up in regards to immigration, and I don't think that's Joe Biden's fault. So I did bring that back. As far as the economy, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to the unemployment rate, when it comes to job growth, when it comes to manufacturing. But that's why I said in the interview, Joe Biden should be running on his record.
But the problem is, I think
negotiating prescription drug prices. There's so many things.
But the problem is our message isn't getting through, Linda. That is the biggest problem. Like our message, Joe Biden's message, and everything he's done, it's not getting through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not resonating with the independents, nonpartisans.
Right. I think the Democrats have to get, I'm sorry, but louder.
I agree.
So loud.
Linda,
we have to.
I agree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want, Linda, I agree with you. I love Michelle Obama. I wish she ran for office, but I disagree with Michelle when she says When they go low, we go high. I
Oh
understand.
no.
I understand.
Not these days. It's good. We got to go. We got to get down and dirty.
I agree with you.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
And
just
that's
not in
why.
today's-
And that's
yeah.
why I want Joe Biden tomorrow to bring up Nikki Haley's name. And even though I disagree, and I'm sure Joe Biden disagrees with a lot of what Nikki Haley believes in, he needs to bring up her name and say, you can join me. Your husband is a hero. I would never say the things about your husband, what Donald Trump said. Please come with me and let's work together. Because if he does that,
You think she will, though? You think she would take his offer?
Here's what I think she would do.
Probably
she would
not,
meet with
but-
him and she would talk with him. And that's where it starts. Give it an open invitation publicly, and Nikki will accept that invitation. I believe she will. And have her bring her husband also when he comes back. And I think if
That's
Joe,
where Trump was a coward, because Joe offered to get to meet with him about immigration.
you're not going to hear an argument.
Trump's a coward.
You're not going to hear an argument from me on that one, Linda.
Well, that's why he's a bully.
He's a coward. Linda,
Right.
it's good to hear from you, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. You're
Thank you,
absolutely
Linda.
right. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Joseph.
Yeah, hey, Brian. First, I'd like to say about Nikki Haley, I say she should go join President Biden because Biden would never say anything about the soldiers. He's not like, and Biden is not like Trump, who's always saying stupid things about her husband.
Right.
Because at least those soldiers, they got something that Trump and those January 6 rioters and not even those Trump supporters never have.
But Joseph, I agree with you, but here's the thing about the speech tomorrow night. This isn't about winning over Democrats. We know that staunch Democrats are going to be voting for Joe Biden. What Joe Biden should be focusing on in his administration and his speechwriters, winning over moderate Republicans, winning over independents. That's what the speech tomorrow should be about. We know that the Democrats are supporting Joe Biden. I get it. But you got to win over some of those people that are on the fence. And there are still a lot of people that are on the fence, Amy Tarkanian being one of them. You have to be able to do that tomorrow. It's the most important speech of his career, in my opinion.
And to get people a little
I
more
agree.
excited about it.
I agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that one. And speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, the way she's talking to the reporter, boy, I never want to listen to her big mouth.
Oh, somebody should just put a gag in her mouth. I'll tell you something.
No kidding.
She might enjoy that, though. Marjorie Taylor Greene is despicable. Three-toe Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the faces of the Republican Party. She is an utterly disgraceful and despicable woman, and I put Carrie Lake and Lauren Boebert and Stepanek and all of them in the exact same boat. I wish they would move into a cave in Afghanistan and stay there. Thank you for the call, Joseph. I appreciate you, my man.
got it.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's see. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Henry. Henry is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Henry.
Hello.
What's up, Henry?
All right. Can you guys hear me? I lowered my radio.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Well, I've just been listening as usual, and I'm not here to start any stuff, so we don't need to start yelling over each other. But I'm going to give it to you from the right.
Okay, that's fine.
Honestly, that whole Trump is the Antichrist tactic. I mean, if that's what you guys are going to run on, it ain't working.
Okay, so let's have a conversation about that, Henry. And by the way,
Let's do it.
For the record, Henry has called into this show before. I like it when you call in. We can have respectful conversations and still disagree.
Absolutely.
So Henry, I'm not running for office. I'm just a talk show host. But I can tell you this in my opinions, which are Donald Trump is a despicable human being, and more importantly, he's a threat to our democracy. And I can give you a lot of reasons why I feel that way. Now, I'm not running, and that's not the only reason why I'm not voting for Donald Trump. But I think it is very fair to point out that the man who wants to be the leader of the free world, once again, is a liable sexual abuser who's facing 91 felony counts, a man who said he wants to rip up parts of the Constitution. I think you don't think it's fair to bring up those criticisms about somebody who wants to be the president again?
Oh, this is America. You can do it. I'm just telling you guys the facts. These are just stats and data.
Okay, well, I'm giving you the facts as well, stats and data. Donald Trump is facing 91 felony counts.
Absolutely.
He was proven.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so what do you think? Hold on. So what do you think? Why do you like him so much?
Honestly, well, I'm listening, and you guys are putting all your eggs in the speech tomorrow, And then, you guys are hoping that, and then you guys want to call out, which is fine, but I'm just letting you guys know it doesn't work.
But
we don't care about
what
we
do
don't
you
care
care
about
about?
Okay,
January.
so Henry.
Wait,
you
what
don't-
do you care about?
Hold on. I just want to say one thing. Henry, when you say we, I know a lot of Republicans that do care about an insurrection and trying to overthrow a free and fair election. So while you might not think January 6th was a big deal, there's a lot of moderate Republicans out there that do. So when you say we, you don't speak for every Republican, just like Joy Reid doesn't speak for every Republican. Now, it's okay for you to feel that way, but I can tell you right now, you're sorely mistaken if you think that every Republican out there like you thinks that January 6th, quote, wasn't a big deal. You're
But
just
what
wrong.
do you
Okay.
care about?
Okay.
What's important to you?
Obviously, the economy,
Okay.
Okay.
the border.
Okay.
And that's and we can, and you guys can factually look this up. That's on a lot of people's minds, left or right or
Yeah,
middle.
we
okay.
totally.
So you
yeah,
guys,
the borders
think
first.
yourself that Joe Biden's not getting his message out there. It's great that he lowers prescription drug prices, but honestly, what 2% care? That's why it's not getting out there.
All right,
you
so
guys.
let me ask you a question. Speaking of not getting out there, because I think of a lot of Republicans are not educated on the actual facts. I'm
The
not saying.
economy's
So
strong,
let me just
right.
go through a few for you, Henry, and you can tell me if you were aware of the fact that we've had the lowest unemployment rate we've had in 50 years, and manufacturing jobs are at an all-time high. The wage gap has been improving. Gas prices has been going way down. Inflation is down to 3% now. It was in double digits 3 years ago.
It's supposed to be down to 2%.
You sound like a guy that claims that you like stats and figures. Why don't you ever bring up those stats and figures?
Oh, that's perfect. But the only stat and figure I keep seeing is Biden's getting smoked in these polls. So
Hold on a
No,
second.
he's not.
Hold
it's
on
all
a
within
second.
the margin of error.
Hold on a second. You
Oh,
just said
okay.
economy. You just said economy was tops on your mind. I just gave you the facts, and now you're
Yeah.
completely blowing over that and saying, "Well, yeah, but he's getting destroyed in the polls." I didn't ask you
No,
about.
But I
didn't-
think what he's
That's
bringing
great.
up is
That's
that the
great.
message isn't
That's-
resonating.
yeah.
If Biden did all that, great. But why doesn't it translate into the polls, you guys?
No, you're
If-
right.
if you-
We're not
I'll give
articulating
you-
that properly.
I'll-
I totally
Henry,
agree with
it's
you.
a very fair
Yeah.
question, and I'm going to give you the best answer that I can because there's
Give it a shot.
there's too many people on the far right that don't care about facts, and they watch Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax, and Tucker Carlson, and they will never bring up these facts and
In
figures.
a sound bubble, yep.
That is why they are brainwashed and they are completely unaware of where the actual economy is at. And I actually speak to very intelligent people on the right, and they say, "Well, Brian, you're absolutely right, but it just doesn't feel that way." And I'm going to use a word that Ben Shapiro used. Facts don't care about your feelings. Now, I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
The messaging should be
Absolutely.
better. I agree, Henry. The messaging should be better.
We both agree on that.
Okay? Joe
Yeah.
Biden, and that's why I say, Henry, that tomorrow, I don't know if I'd use the term putting all your eggs in the same basket. All I'm simply saying is tomorrow's a very important speech for Joe Biden. It's an opportunity to run in his record and bring in maybe even people like you. I don't know. Bring in moderates and bring in Republicans. Explain what he's done and what he wants to continue to do. That's what I want him to do tomorrow. But it doesn't change the fact that I believe Donald Trump is a despicable human being, and I can give you a number of reasons why.
You know what, Brian? I totally agree, and that's fine. But it's not showing, and it ain't going to matter when it's time to vote. I'm
Right,
just
no,
telling you guys the
we're
truth.
agreeing with you that we need to that the party
No,
and the
I'm
president
going to
needs
tell
to do
you,
a
I'm
better
not going to
job.
vote
That's
for Joe Biden. I'm not, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just telling you the honest to God truth. You guys put, he's this or that. The guy that's struggling to buy milk, the guy that's, going through normal things.
And that's not Joe
that stuff
Biden's
ain't
fault.
gonna-
And that's not
that-
Joe
that
Biden's
ain't-
fault.
And it's not going to get
Well,
better
I'm
under
gonna
a
tell you
President
guys the
Trump
truth.
either. We've already been down that road.
Okay, but I'm just telling you guys the truth. Nobody's thinking about prescription prices when the guy's having a hard time paying for gas.
Okay, I disagree with you. There's a lot of people that care about
Okay.
prescription
Seniors,
prices.
especially
by the way,
seniors who
by,
have to
by,
get their
by the way, you're
prescriptions.
talking to one of them right now. I disagree with you. I have to pay for insulin, so you're absolutely wrong. You're
That's
making
great, but
you're-
for
well,
one person.
I know, but you're
No,
making.
that's not true.
Okay,
There's
Henry.
a lot of people.
So
who
Henry,
are
here's the bottom line. Okay,
on medication. in this
Joe
country.
Biden destroyed Donald Trump in 2020 as far as the popular vote.
Yep.
There are not now. If you think that there are millions of people in this country that voted for Joe Biden that are now saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to vote for Orange Man," then you're entitled to that opinion. I simply disagree with you. I think there are actually more Republicans
Brian,
out there
Brian,
that are
have you-
disgust with him.
Okay, have you not had guests on that have said I voted for Joe Biden. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
Very,
Yes, it's fact.
very few
Yes.
people
I
that
don't
I've
know
talked to.
anyone.
And here's
So
something else.
There's your own example and your own show, my friend.
I'm not
here
talking.
to start.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not giving you anecdotal evidence. What I'm telling you is Donald Trump lost the popular vote in 2016 to Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton. He lost the popular vote to Joe Biden in 2020.
Just
He's
facts.
absolutely going to lose the popular vote in 2024. Now, what happens in the
Okay.
electoral college? We'll wait and see. But I just disagree with you. If you think,
Listen,
Go
But
ahead.
why do you
disagree.
like him
we
so
can all
much?
listen. We can all disagree, but the numbers are out there. The
And
facts
the
are out
numbers,
there.
All right,
and the
so let me
polls-
ask you-
polls are a snapshot in time. Do not,
Henry.
do not take polls.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
as
ask
if
Henry.
they're-
Let me ask Henry another question. Henry, were you saying the same thing when every poll in 2016 showed that Hillary Clinton was going to destroy Donald
I
Trump?
didn't vote. I didn't vote
ask
for
you if you.
2000.
I didn't ask you if you voted
I
or
didn't
not.
vote. I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
I didn't pay attention.
So Henry,
I
since you didn't pay attention, I'm going to explain it to you since you like facts.
Go
Virtually
ahead.
every poll out
Yep.
there in 2016, every poll, even the right-wing polls out there, said that Hillary Clinton was going to win. So I don't quite frankly believe every poll out there that says that. And by the way, if a poll says that Trump's winning by 2 or 3 points, I wouldn't label that as
It's
destroying
within, it's
somebody.
within the label.
Nine.
No,
Okay.
no,
Well,
no.
in
The-
some
even
polls,
the last poll was by
in
5 points
some
within
polls,
the margin of error.
in some polls, Hillary Clinton was leading by double digits. So all I'm simply saying, Henry, is polls right now, 5-6 months before November, don't mean anything, in my
Nothing.
personal
All right.
opinion.
Hey, we all
Not
are
only a
entitled to
personal
our own
opinion, that's
opinion.
fact.
That's
It's
fine.
just they don't mean anything.
Before I let you,
No. The fact is they can be checked, and those are the factual numbers. Now, whether you
No.
accept them or
polls
not,
are not
is up to you.
factual. No, polls are
I
a
didn't make the polls.
snapshot.
I don't do the. I don't.
no,
I don't make the polls.
I'm explaining to you what polls are. Poll is
Okay.
just a snapshot.
so Henry,
at the time.
so Henry, then how do you explain
It's not fact.
if polls are factual, going by your words? Then how do you explain Hillary Clinton losing the 2016 election?
Brian, I didn't vote in 2016.
I
was
didn't
in
ask
jail.
you.
I was
Okay,
in
hold
jail.
on, Henry. The
I
question,
don't know.
Henry, the
I don't know.
question isn't whether you voted or not. That's academic to what I'm asking you. You're making a
I
claim.
don't know.
Okay.
Talk about 2020. I don't know.
Okay,
about
why do you
2016.
like
The
Trump
reason
so
why,
much?
the
I
reason
wanna
why,
know.
hold on one second. The reason
Hey,
why,
everybody relax. Hang
the
on. You
reason
guys
why
don't get to me.
I'm very relaxed. I'm just asking you a question, which is,
Actually, you are today.
I'm-
Actually,
I'm
I'll
asking you-
admit that.
I'm asking you a question though, which has nothing to do
Yeah.
with whether you voted or not. You're making the claim
Yeah.
that polls are factual. And what I am trying to convey to you is that no, they're not always accurate. Okay. In 2016, every poll had Clinton winning.
It depends
I
how the
understand.
question's
I
asked.
think
what the
I
question
think we're
is.
missing. Okay, I'm not saying the polls are factual. What I'm saying is, if you Google the polls today, these are the numbers that are showing, whether we like them or not. Okay, we can't change
And I'm
those stats
saying
and
that I
numbers.
don't put any credibility to
No.
numbers
Okay,
5 or 6
then
months
that's
before
Okay,
an
an
so-
election.
opinion, and that's subjective.
Okay, why
That's
do you
not-
like Trump so much? I want to know why.
Well, let me see. My 401k was through the roof. To build a house in Las Vegas wasn't 3 times the amount. To fill up a Ford Escape was $44. Now it's 76.
Okay, hold on, one at a time.
So we
Wait.
can, no. Let me answer my question, you guys.
Okay, but you're,
So
you're
at the
rolling
end
off
of the
a lot of
day,
things.
At the end of the day, when a man has a family and all these things going on,
Mhm.
I'm trying to tell you that Trump's the Antichrist and Biden lowered prescription prices does not
Okay.
matter.
How was your
I'm trying to
401k
help
when
you
Trump
guys.
left office when COVID hit? How was your 401k, sir?
I froze it. It was great.
Well, your 401k should be pretty good now under
Yeah, how's
a
your
President
401k
Biden.
right now?
Oh, I actually lost a lot of money,
No,
you guys.
there's
But we're not. We
there's,
don't.
there's no
then
way.
you seem to
All
be-
right.
No.
See, you guys are trying to tell other people what they
no,
experience
no,
and
we're
what
not.
they
We're
feel.
just
What
that's
I am trying to figure out, sir,
the
is
facts of the economy are
the
strong.
Donald Trump economy that he left Joe Biden.
Listen,
Hold
A
on.
stick of butter was $2.99. I paid $7.
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
so
if
do
it's
you-
What kind of
green.
butter are you
All right,
buying?
It
hold on
doesn't-
a second.
it
Hold on.
doesn't
I love
matter.
this. I love this argument that MAGA Republicans make.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henry, you're making the claim that
Yeah.
a stack of butter is more expensive now than it was.
Stick
Do
of
you
butter. Stick of butter.
understand? Do you understand where
Butter is
inflation
not
was?
$7.
Do you understand where inflation was 3 years ago?
And it
compared
was because of COVID.
Do you,
not
because, do you understand where inflation was 3 years ago compared
Brian,
to where it is now?
You guys are missing. Do you understand that when the man votes today, they're not thinking about
what
COVID?
he's saying
That's
is
what
that
I'm
it
trying to
doesn't
tell
matter.
you
Facts
guys.
don't matter. Is
Okay,
what
so
he's
facts
saying.
don't matter. Sir,
Right.
the point I'm
That's
trying
what
to
he's
make is facts. You said you're a stat and facts person, and now
Yeah.
you're claiming you're
Yeah.
not because you're going by your feelings. Sir, inflation was in the double digits 3 years ago. It's now at 3%. The economy that Donald Trump left Joe Biden was in the crapper. You can say what you want about your 401k.
No, that was mostly due to COVID.
I
want to
know how, and I want to know, speaking of feelings, I want to know how you wake up in the morning, and this is a serious question. How do you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror knowing that you're voting for a liable rapist? I want to know how
Brian,
you do
how
that.
Brian, how do you wake up
He
in the
doesn't
morning when you got a restraining order on a woman?
So you're answering a question with a question. Why don't you answer my question? Are you going to
Because
answer
I'm
my
a
question,
man.
or are you going to
Because
say
I'm a
something
man.
stupid? Okay.
No, I'm a man.
The question is not about me. It's about you. So answer the question, or I'm going to move on to the next caller. I know that when I ask you a question, you don't want to answer it because I put you in a corner. I'm going to ask it again. And I would like an answer, nothing about some other personal issue. It's about you and Donald Trump. How do you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror knowing that you're voting for a liable rapist? Why don't you answer the question?
You would like that restraining
That's
order.
Exactly.
not
Have a nice
important to
day.
him.
So
Yeah.
MAGA moron proves once again that he won't answer a direct
that's not
question
important to him.
because
That's
he's
exactly
a
what
MAGA
he's saying.
clown. That's what he is. He refuses to answer a question when I ask him the question, which is, how do you vote for a liable sexual abuser?
But
and
he's
he
not-
deflects and he won't answer the question
No, because it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to him. That's all
Yeah.
he kept saying is, I'm a man,
Exactly.
I'm a man.
You're
So
not a
it's-
man. You're a MAGA clown is what you are.
They
You're not a
don't
man.
care.
Exactly.
They
You're a
don't care.
MAGA
Yeah.
clown. This is the guy that goes on social media and listens to trolls that don't like me, MAGA morons that don't like me, and he feeds into that, and he uses that instead of answering a direct question, which obviously he can't answer because he's an idiot.
Now there's some rational points too. People don't feel it. Yes, prices are still high in the grocery store. All that's true, but it's coming down.
Yeah,
Like that's that's kind of the point. And wages have gone up. Like that's just fact.
He knows that he's voting for a sexual abuser. And he also claims that he's a facts stat man.
He doesn't
and then
care.
he's the one who says, let's have a respectful conversation. And let's not yell at each other. And then when I ask him a direct question, he says something stupid that he saw on social media instead of answering a direct question because he's a fool.
And
Welcome to MAGA
that
world.
is the base,
Well,
right?
yeah,
That is
yeah,
Trump's
yeah,
base.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and you know what? They are the uneducated,
Yeah.
right? The college educated are
Welcome
are
to MAGA
not
world. And then
MAGA
they
base.
wonder why I get frustrated with them, where I try to keep a guy on for a long time and he won't answer one direct question because Henry is an imbecile. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kava, who's next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Kava.
Yes. Hey, hi, Brian.
What's up? How's it going?
So I have three things to say real quick. Let me start with what your friend said earlier, the lady who was on earlier. I'm sorry, but I can't agree with her in good faith with her thought about illegal immigration, all this. One thing that bothers me about it is the way MAGA says illegals is not accurate in any way. The government actually retired that term a couple months back. That's one. Number two is I have no sympathy for MAGA. I'm sorry, but MAGA calls immigrants names on a daily basis. So I don't agree with her saying that they're victims in a sense. I'm sorry, but I can't in good faith give them respect because they don't respect immigrants. So why should we have to show them any kind of respect? And then my third and final thing is that MAGA is just crazy. They don't respect anything but themselves. So why should we give them any kind of respect?
I agree. And by the way, I want to say something else, if I may. In regards to the last caller, Kava, I asked him a very direct question. And I asked him, how do you look in the mirror knowing that you support a liable sexual abuser? And he responded by saying something about a restraining order. And I want to actually answer to that. I've been doing radio for 20 years. I've had death threats in my life. I take them very seriously. And when someone gives me a death threat, if he's referring to this specific situation, yes, I filed a restraining order against this individual, but somehow he sees that as a bad thing or a negative thing, and he tries to attack me for filing a restraining order against somebody who put a death threat in on me. And he brings that up which, by the way, I did the right thing. There's nothing wrong with it. I didn't do anything wrong. And
No, you didn't at all.
No, and somehow he won't answer my direct question about Donald Trump because he can't, because it makes him look like the fool that he is. Kava, I appreciate the phone call. I got to get to some other calls, my friend, but it's
Hey,
good.
One more thing before you go. I just want to say that the fact that MAGA attacks you for calling them out is beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why? Because Donald Trump doesn't respect women. Why are people still voting for that fool?
How you are correct. How any woman, how any service member, in my opinion, could support this man. It surprises me. It really does. But, there are a lot of Henrys out there that don't have a brain. So, what about your restraining order? It's just stupid.
You
stupid
can't
people.
disrespect Henry Cavill like that, bro. Don't disrespect Henry Cavill like that, bro. Come on now.
I'll try not to, but it has nothing to do with you, my friend. Hey, I appreciate the call. It's good to hear from you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you again for.
Yeah. Somehow, thank you. Somehow, somebody gives you a death threat and you file a restraining order. Somehow, that's a negative on the person that filed the restraining order. Might be the dumbest logic I've ever heard. But then again, that's the guy who supports a liable rapist, so it doesn't surprise me. Let's go to Marcia. 702-221-7283. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm from Michigan, and I just want to the guy that called, he was talking all this stuff, and it's usually the poorest, I'm sorry, but dumbest people that always want to call in and say, oh, I got to pay this much for this and that. Yeah. What did Trump do besides give tax breaks to the rich and do a partial wall? Could they just give me a slight answer
No, they can't
as to what
articulate
Trump really did?
They can't, Marcia.
I
They
kept
can't,
asking.
They can't articulate it. Ileana tried to ask, and of course he doesn't answer. Oh, but my 401k was so good. I mean, it's just these are some of the dumbest people society has to offer.
Have we forgotten? Biden has helped the vets. He tried to get school the loans for students, college students. He tried to get help with that. They shot it down. He's tried to just recently do the border, and they shot it down.
Right.
And as far as the inflation is down. What people don't understand, it's a lot of gouging going on. These stores, these grocery stores, they're marking their own prices on top of the prices. So we're getting a lot of gouging. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just don't understand what they see in Trump. What is he really trying to do? It was like a call out when he first came out, talking about the border and the Mexicans coming over and doing this, that. It was a call out to the MAGA hate. Or I'm not saying all Republicans are hateful, but it's a lot of hate going on that side. And it's like they can't see past that. They can't see the light.
Usually,
yeah,
and it's Marcia. Usually, I try to have a respectful and semi-intelligent conversation with these people, and when I ask them to answer direct questions in a respectful way, not only do they not answer the question, and if you listen to the show, I have to ask the question 4 or 5 times, and they still don't answer it. But they'll answer it with an insult or something that is not relevant to the question.
Exactly, and they're so angry.
Right.
They're just so angry.
Well, and the scary part is when you call out people and go, it's all their fault. So that's the scary right. That's exactly what that's a Hitler tactic. I'm Jewish.
There you go.
And so is Brian, and it's all their fault. So all of everything that's what's wrong with your lives, it's their fault, and that's what's terrifying about that. It is terrifying.
Listen, if some of these people,
scary.
You're right, Ileana. If some of these people went to a Klan rally, they would find a way to make positives of that as well. I mean, you can't.
There you go.
There are certain types of people that are so brainwashed and they have so much hate in their heart and they're so uneducated.
Right.
You're never going to change their minds. Listen, I'm not talking about those people when I talk about Joe Biden's speech tomorrow. You're never going to get those people. They're brainwashed turds.
Never.
I'm talking about the Amy Tarkanians. I'm talking about the reasonable Republicans out there and the independents.
There you go. Yes.
Joe Biden needs to speak to those people tomorrow. That's what I want.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's
it.
And I appreciate your call, and good to hear from you out of Michigan. Thank you so much. Okay?
Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right.
Okay.
Go Detroit Red Wings. All right. I like it.
My husband's from Michigan, from outside of Detroit.
I think the Detroit Pistons are like 2-80, aren't they? Ooh. But the Detroit Red Wings are a little better this year. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Who do we have next on the line? Who's next? Julie? All right, let's go to Julie.
Hi,
Hello,
Julie.
hello, Julie.
Hello, how are you today?
Good. I was hoping you were going to call when I was on.
Oh, I'm a resident MAGA. Okay, so of course I'm gonna.
We know.
Okay. I know. You're always doing polls to ask the audience to take or not my call, whether or not take my call, which is really funny. Okay, guys, let me respond for Henry. Okay. How do I wake up in the morning knowing that Donald Trump is a liable rapist, right? Okay. First of all, Donald Trump is not living with me. Okay, in my house. He's not my husband.
Gotcha.
He's not my spiritual.
Okay, so let's
spiritual
start there.
guidance.
Okay, so let's start there.
Let me finish.
No,
Let me
Julie,
finish my statement.
Julie, we're going to start there.
Because you are
Julie,
always
we are going to
interrupting me.
start there, and then I'm going to let you finish if you allow me to interject and respond. According to your logic, you can support a rapist so long as they don't live in your house. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound when you make a statement like that? You are making the case that because a liable sexual abuser doesn't live with you, you would support Jeffrey Epstein then, going by your ridiculous logic. So, Julie, I need you to make a better point than that because you just embarrassed yourself.
Okay,
Just because somebody doesn't live with you doesn't mean that you should support that person. That is absurd.
Let me finish.
I will, but are you going to respond to what I just said? Are you going to?
It was do you know the difference between a civil case and a criminal case?
Okay, so you're saying you would. Okay, so you're saying you would vote for O.J. Simpson also.
It was a civil case.
Go down. Julie, I need you to listen to me. Julie, do you think O.J. Simpson is a murderer? Yes or no?
You asked me the
answer the question.
So don't stop.
Potter down again. Julie, if we're going to continue this conversation, I ask a question and you answer the question. I'm going to ask a question now. It's a two-part question and I need you to listen to it, okay? Number one, would you trust your kids hanging out with O.J. Simpson alone? And number two, could you ever see yourself voting for O.J. Simpson? Yes or no? Please answer the question directly.
O.J. Simpson is a celebrity. I don't care about him.
Donald Trump is a celebrity as well, so you're not making any sense, and I'm going to ask you the question again. The reason why I asked you, Lee, because you might have problems putting two and two together, is while O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of double murder, he was found liable, civilly liable for double murder, Julie.
No,
Julie?
No, because the standard is different.
Julie, just because somebody's not criminally charged, he was found liable of sexual abuse. We're talking about your hero, Donald Trump. You made the point that, well, the guy doesn't live with me, so you're saying you don't have a problem with sexual assault?
Brian,
Julie.
Don't censor me. Don't censor me.
Okay, Julie, so here's the thing. I'm going to hang up the phone on you now for one reason, and one reason only. It's my show and not yours. I don't have to ever take your phone call again if I don't want to, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it, Julie. Do you understand that?
You don't have
Do you understand that,
You
Julie?
don't have elements.
Julie, do you
don't
under?
have
Yeah,
elements.
you're going to talk to me about elegance, and you're supporting a liable rapist. So get off my show. And I may never take your phone call ever again. You know why? It's not because I want to censor people. It's because you're an idiot. That's why. And I can do that because it's my show and not yours. You don't run this show. We can put up any poll we want, and we can never hear from Julie again. And quite frankly, I won't have to take as much Tylenol after the show, and you'll save me some money if you don't call in ever again. I run this show and not you. Thank God, by the way, because you'd never be able to get a word in edgewise with Julie. 702-221-7283. Who should we take next? Let's see here. Who do we got here? Let's go to Lonnie, who's next up on Pushing Limits. Hello, Laney. Laney, hi.
This is D-Line. I would have to be after Julie.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We got your name spelled. My apologies. Go right ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. I just wanted to say that I keep asking everybody, like Trump supporters, what in the world did he do good? And then they all come back, like people that don't like Trump will come back and say, oh, pandemic, he messed up on that. And I said, no. I mean, good things. And nobody ever gives me an answer to this day. I always ask it in your threads in the past when I listen to you guys. I ask, and Nobody still gives me an answer. But usually, I guess it's because presidents really don't affect a person's life, but then he tries to make it seem like it did. And then on that note, I'd like to say what Joe Biden did for me personally. Now, I got a loan forgiveness, okay? I had medical covered between jobs for free for 3 months. It was a short time. That helped me personally. My 401k went up, has gone up a lot. And it tanked during the pandemic. I mean, there's really not much, like even gas prices and stuff like that. Like our gas prices here in Hawaii are still high. I can't blame Joe Biden for that. Or I cannot say Trump did better when he was in, to be honest, I wasn't even following. I never voted for Trump. I'm a never Trumper. But I really wasn't following anything until the pandemic came. And then that's when you're watching the news more. Then I just realized, wow, he did all these things. And I started looking it up, like Benghazi. I didn't even know what that was. I know my head was in the sand. Right. But I was looking up things, and I looked up, like, the Charlottesville thing. And I was like, wow, all this stuff happened. And then I really realized how crazy it was. And ever since then, I've been more against him. I never voted for him anyway, but because of that grab him by the you-know-what thing. Yeah. But, yeah, those are just 3 things that I'd like to – jobs is another one. Sure. More jobs that you can choose from that you might want to –
And I think these are all legitimate and great things, but how do I respond to somebody who defends Donald Trump and says, in regards to sexual abuse, I don't have to live with him, so you just brush it off? I mean, I can't even have a conversation with somebody like that.
I know, it's nuts. Like, they just – divert, I call it deflect, attack, and I forgot the other one, but there's like 3 things that they always do. And I do it too. Like, I talk to people all the time here. There's Trump supporters here too. They're all over. And so when you talk to them, they start talking about Biden, and I'm like, and they're talking about this conspiracy about him touching the hair of a girl, and somebody sent me that video a while back. It's like, I don't get it. It could be a fake. I mean, I don't understand why they can't just answer questions.
Because they deflect, and they just like when this guy Henry calls in, and I ask him a very direct question, and he won't answer it, and then he tries to turn it around with a question or a statement that has nothing to do with it. This is what they do. They deflect. They claim that they're factual people and they're statistics people, but again, a guy is talking about the polls right now, but yet when I bring up the polls in 2016, how convenient. He's ignorant to it. Oh, well, I didn't vote. I appreciate your story and what Joe Biden has done for you. And I think we need to hear more people like you speak out on that, because Joe Biden.
One more thing.
Yep, go ahead.
He forgave my loan, but I'm out of college for over 20 some odd years. This is the tail end of my thing. It was only $3,000, and I'm happy for the people that got a lot more forgiven. Yeah. And because people don't realize it's forgiven.
And for the Republicans out there, that don't want student loan forgiveness, they're the same people that took their unforgiven PPE loans. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world during COVID. I'm glad.
That's another thing he gave me. That's another thing. I got my PPP and it was forgiven.
Well, hey, God bless you. We pay taxes, and it's nice when the government gives a little back. Thank you for the call. It's great to hear from you. Thank you so much. I appreciate those examples. Aloha. 702-221-7283. I love it when the Hawaiians call into this show. Wonderful people. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next on Pushing Limits. Hi, Roy.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Eliana. How are you guys today?
Good.
Oh, a bunch of things. Let's start with Joy Reid. What she said was wrong.
Yes.
But when you're dealing with Donald Trump, it tends to bring out the worst in people. So hopefully she'll apologize, because it was a stupid statement.
And if she does, then I'll move on, and I'll appreciate that. I just don't know if she will.
But he does bring out the worst in people.
Sometimes.
Comment about the economy. When Joe Biden took over the economy, it was a disaster. And it may have been a disaster anyway, but the whole pandemic was handled so poorly at the very beginning.
True.
I remember Donald Trump saying it's a Democratic hoax. It'll be gone by Easter. He did not take it seriously. And maybe if it was taken seriously from the get-go, it never would have been quite as bad as it was. Yeah. But the pandemic messed up the whole supply chain, and that had a big cause on inflation, as well as the tax cut, which I've spoken to before about. They gave an enormous tax cut to corporations, and you have corporate greed. They're trying to rake in all the money. But if you really want to help, now the economy is strong in many respects, all the statistics, but a lot of people who are, let's say, lower or lower middle class, they don't feel the positives in it. And the way to really help them out is to change the tax system. Instead of cutting millionaires and large corporations, you got to cut on the bottom. You have people like Jeff Bezos and what's his name, Elon Musk, an individual worth $200 billion. These people don't feel the tax saving. I mean, to cut them 2.6% in taxes, well, what do they need it for? Why don't you cut it on people making under $50,000 a year?
Yeah. No,
this is where you really have to help people.
I agree.
The lower end.
I agree, and I think when you look at the history of the Republican Party, they're usually giving tax breaks for the elitist and the rich, and I wish that that would change a little bit, because it's middle class people and people who are poor are the ones who are struggling because of policies.
But these are the people who don't feel the improvements in the economy,
right?
Well, the
because
poor
they're
they
making.
don't pay taxes, right? If you're under a certain, you don't pay tax. It's the middle. It's the middle and the upper middle that end up really getting squeezed the most. The same with health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, like there's
That's right.
Medicaid, but it's the people who do have insurance who end up getting squeezed, right? So it's
that last tax cut took away exemptions. So if you had children, you couldn't write them off anymore. They increased the standard deduction, but they also took away, they limited the tax write-off to $10,000. Now, in many states, that didn't matter, but in a lot of the states like New York, New Jersey, maybe Pennsylvania, California, these people got clocked with that limitation of $10,000.
Oh yeah, no question. Tomorrow we're going to be previewing Joe Biden's speech, and we definitely want you to call back and hear more about what people want to hear from Joe Biden tomorrow night. But I do appreciate the call, Roy. Thank you so much.
I'd like to mention. Can I mention one more thing, Brian?
Sure. Go ahead.
I read where, of course, Mitch McConnell endorsed Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about selective amnesia and gutless garbage in politics. This is a clear example where too many politicians, on the left and on the right, but I think more so on the right, and I guess you see it more now because of Donald Trump.
He's no longer the useless turtle. He's now the useless orange MAGA turtle.
In fairness to Mitch McConnell, he always said that he would support he believes in party over the person, so he was always going to support.
Yeah, but you see, the problem is they believe in party over the people they represent.
That's because they're from another. Yeah, they're from another time, though, another generation.
Another reason why we desperately need term limits.
I agree with you, and I appreciate your call, my friend. And we're going to move on to some other callers, but I appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Dawn. Dawn is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dawn. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm calling because I was listening to all of the Trump supporters and the way they were talking to you. And I've had conversations with people and tried to be, open-minded about what they had to say. And anytime you respond with something they don't want to hear, they're on the attack.
Right.
And it gets more and more vicious as the conversation goes along, And I've been in healthcare for 45 years, so I've dealt with a lot of people. But let me tell you, I believe everyone has their choice. But when you support someone who has committed so many crimes, it's a little unnerving, I listened to his speech on January 6th. I saw how he incited these people and manipulated their minds, because a lot of them are not strong-minded and they can't make clear-cut decisions for themselves. And it's sort of like a cultish activity where they're brainwashed and they're fed this information until they truly believe it's true. Like, they actually believe everything he has to say. And I I just can't believe that people are
Yeah.
willing to say that
And-
he
and-
had no
and-
part in that.
And you're right. And there's a woman on social media, I guess her name is Kristen, and she's saying that E. Jean Carroll said to Anderson Cooper, "Rape is sexy." She makes the case that not a single mentally stable human would ever say that. So because of that, Donald Trump couldn't have committed sexual assault. So that's what some of these
Oh,
people.
my goodness.
Yeah, that's what some of these people do. They make the claim because she named her cat Vagina, she could not have ever been the victim of sexual assault. Oh, yeah, by the way, there are 25 other women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife in court documents, who under
Right.
oath in a deposition said that her husband raped her. But you see, people like Kristen are so stupid, they're not even aware, or they don't want to hear it. The same woman that Donald Trump buried on the first hole of his golf course so he could save money on taxes. But because somebody makes a statement on CNN, they can't possibly be the victim of sexual assault, makes you such a despicable and ignorant person. I don't even want to waste my time
But
with them.
they don't care about the issue, right? They don't
I
care
know.
about rape.
Well,
they don't.
and it was suspicious that she fell down the stairs all of a sudden and was there alone in her house. It just, it puts a question mark in your mind. When I heard that she fell, I thought, who was there? And what don't we know about this situation? I mean, we can't accuse anyone without proof, evidently.
But Kristen, here's
to
what we
me,
know.
in my mind-
Here's what we know, Kristen, though, right? Thank God. A jury of Donald Trump's peers found that he was liable of sexual battery. So guess what? It doesn't matter what Kristen thinks. Nobody cares.
Right.
All that matters is that a courtroom with a jury and a judge characterized him as a rapist, by the way. That's all that matters. So idiots like Kristen, the MAGA moron deplorables out there that want to defend this rapist, can say whatever the hell they want. Here's what we know. Joe Biden was never found liable for sexual assault or rape. Donald Trump was. End of story.
Exactly.
End of story.
Exactly.
Yes. And I appreciate hearing from you. You call back again anytime, okay? Great points, good call.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's only one more quick thing I wanted to say, and
Sure.
this is something I think is very important. I think as Americans, we really have to take a strong look at the term of service of the Supreme Court justices, because when they're in there, I mean, look at, he's lined them up while he was in as a president, and now he's getting, whether they're supposed to or not, there's this undercurrent of, okay, Donald's getting away with things again. And I think we have to make some changes in some of our government things because they don't fit today's world. The world is just so crazy that we need to change some things around because you get people in there and you can't get them out.
You're right. I've always said that as well, that these people are in office way too much, whether we're talking about Supreme Court justices like the disgusting Clarence Thomas and his insurrectionist wife. I agree with you 100%.
Yes, sure,
and
particularly.
very, very good point, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
On kind of on that point though, there is a huge learning curve for Congress in general, right? So you can't really say, okay, you can serve 6 years and that's it, or you can serve 12 years. Like we the voters have the ability to vote them out.
Sure.
So if they're wildly popular, and whether it's the Boeberts and I agree with you, she's awful. I mean, I don't even count her as a serious legislator at all. But we have the ability to vote these people out. The Supreme Court is what it is. I'm not sure we should change our institutions to fit the crazies of today.
Agree. Let's try to steal a few more phone calls. Apparently, just how Joe Biden stole votes in the 2020 election, according to MAGA Republicans. Let's go to Deborah. Deborah's next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Deborah?
Hi, Brian. You asked earlier, what should I say to a MAGA person that just that doesn't take the charges against Donald Trump seriously as far as the sexual violence charges?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask you, have you ever said to them, well, think about it being your mother, your sister, your daughter, or your granddaughter? that it happened to, would you then take it seriously?
Yeah, it's a good question, and you know it's funny because I bring that up all the time. Unless it happens.
Oh, you
to-
do? Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
well,
I didn't know if
well,
you
in this
did.
aspect, let me give it to you this way. In this aspect, right? To some of these MAGA Republicans, they don't change their stance unless it does happen to them. Dick Cheney was anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ. By the way, so was Liz Cheney, until they found out that their family member was gay. And then all of a sudden they changed their stance. I find it very, very interesting, right? Until they find out that somebody in their family might be transgender or somebody in their family might be gay, then they change their mind. But you see, it shouldn't have to happen that way. You shouldn't have to lose a loved one to a disease or, a loved one, something, whether they're gay or whatever the case may be. But it seems like until it happens to you, it's interesting. Steve Scalise is such a scumbag. Here's why. Forget about the fact that he almost died from gunshot wounds, but he's done nothing when it comes to gun control in this
I wish
company.
the Democratic Party was very quick to.
Right. But it's worse.
Go on.
But it's worse than that because he's against stem cell research and he's been against wearing masks. Guess who the guy is that benefited from stem cell research because of his cancer? Steve Scalise. Guess who is the guy who's been wearing a mask for the last several months? Steve Scalise. So it's only okay for him to do it when he has health problems.
And I think that's true for most people, right? They either never think it's never going to happen to me, so what do I care? Right. That's the attitude, and that's where you have like the lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Does it or the other stuff is just ignorance. Like I don't like these people because
I think
they're
it's
this,
ignorance
that.
more than
I agree.
And you can be an
anything.
intelligent person and still be ignorant.
I do. I think it's ignorant.
I agree with you, and I
Me
think,
too.
and I try to call it out every day, and I got to get to some other calls. I do appreciate your call. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
Appreciate you.
you.
Let's
Thank
go to
you.
Bob. Bob is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Bob. What's going on?
How you doing? This is Chief Seferiubi's worst friend. I don't know if you remember me. Chief Seferiubi said, "Excuse for a human being." I'm raising money to help him bail out of his court case.
I'm sorry, my friend. I really don't know who you're referring to. My apologies, but what do you think about what we've been talking about today?
Well, I always agree with you, but
yeah.
I don't know if you remember because I called a couple of times and I gave you the Chief Seferiubi said, "Excuse for a human being," but I started a GoFundMe for Donald, and so far I got a penny, a tack, a paper clip, and I forgot what else.
Bob, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call into the show tomorrow, and we are going to be previewing Joe Biden's speech, and I want to know from your side. I'm going to give you a day to think about it, what you want to hear from him, Bob. And I appreciate the call because I got to get to one other caller, and then we got to go to break because I have a guest waiting. Let's go to MAGA Patrick, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, MAGA Patrick.
What's up, Brian? Hey, real quick, E. Jean Carroll didn't remember the date of the allegation, so that's kind of
okay,
a red flag there.
Sure. Okay, so let's go with that.
for a
Hold
sec.
on.
You wanna go with that?
Hold on. Let's go with
Let's
that.
go with that. Let's go with
Okay.
that.
All right. So you have dozens and dozens of women that didn't remember the exact date that they were raped by Bill Cosby.
The year. Don't remember
Hold
the
on.
year.
Sir, let me finish the question, and then I want you to answer it, okay? Because you're the one who brought this up. So I'm going to start over again. Dozens of women didn't remember the day, the month, or even the year. They didn't know exactly when, but they do know that Bill Cosby raped them. So does that mean we should discredit all the women that claim that they were raped by Bill Cosby as well, going by Patrick's logic?
I think it should raise a red flag. Yes.
Gotcha.
Wait, why should it raise a red flag? Do you remember? I mean, I was extremely close to my grandparents. I don't recall the actual year that each of them passed. So why would that raise a red flag? Do you remember everything that happened, even large events? You remember exactly how it is. I mean, I'm 46. I don't.
If you're going to go to court and make an allegation that somebody raped, you
Patrick.
should know when it happened.
Okay,
right?
Patrick, fair enough.
That's
Okay, Patrick, fair enough. We'll agree to disagree on that. You think it's a red flag. Now let me ask you a question. Would you say to a man that has 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife in a deposition in court documents, would you also say that that might be a red flag?
Nobody believes the allegations,
Sir,
Brian. You need to
I
be
didn't ask you. I didn't ask you about what you believe. I asked you a different question. Yes or no answer. When you have a man, 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape, a proven liable sexual abuser in court, and his own ex-wife said that he raped her, would you consider that, quote, a red answer? This has nothing to do with the 91 indictments. Patrick, I'm now going to ask you for a third time, and I would like a direct question because you brought up red flags because you don't believe E. Jean Carroll. So I'm going to ask it one more time, and I need you to focus. 25 women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife under oath in a deposition, and now a proven liable rapist in a courtroom. Would you consider all of that information and him bragging about sexual assault on video and audio, would you consider any of those things that I just brought up a quote-unquote red flag?
Nobody cares about that issue. Let's talk about legal immigration.
No, we're not going to talk
so
about it.
So it's a red flag
Yeah.
on one side, but
Right,
not on the
right.
other.
25
At least I can say some
yeah,
of my side
yeah.
is fair.
Patrick, you don't sound biased at all. You don't sound like
No.
a moron at all. All right, thank you for the call, Patrick. We got to take a break. It's so funny to put these MAGA idiots in their place.
At least I
they're
can
so
say that
stupid.
my side is a little more real and go, okay, I could kind of see the other side.
These people are so dumb. Oh, well, you know what? She called her cat vagina, so that's a red flag. But 25 women that accuse someone of rape, that's not a red flag. All right, here's what we're going to do. We got to take a quick break. I'm going to keep the Occupy Democrats feed going because I'm enjoying the chat. But on a local standpoint, UNLV basketball, a huge win last night against San Diego State. Head coach Kevin Kruger joining us next right here on Pushing the Limits.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. The Thomas and Mack Center last night, very, very loud. Big game, an exciting game. We previewed it yesterday, and the Rebels have been on fire, man. It's an exciting time of the year, and what better time of the year to be playing your best basketball than in March? So really exciting. A big win against the San Diego State Aztecs. They had lost 21 of their last 23. Such a nice win for UNLV, and joining us right now on the line, nice enough to give us some of his time. We always appreciate it. The head coach of UNLV basketball, Kevin Kruger, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on the big win last night.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Always enjoy it, Kev. So, I mean, what do you attribute this to? I mean, you know the rivalry between UNLV and San Diego State is a great rivalry. UNLV has struggled over the years, but yet you guys were able to take care of business yesterday in front of a really loud crowd. and a great atmosphere. What did it feel like to get the job done yesterday for you and your team?
Oh, it was just a great feeling because, like you said, it was a great crowd, great support. The fans were into it from the start, and so to be able to get that game and be on the right side of it it just makes it that much sweeter.
You know, it's interesting, and I'll be the first one to say sometimes the media is not always positive, right? They'll look at some bad losses and they won't always look at big wins. But I'll be one to say, and this is why I'm not a basketball coach and I'm just a radio host, there were times this season where I'm like, oh boy, you know, this is concerning or that might be concerning. But it seemed like you and the coaching staff always believed, your players always believed, and I would say that's probably why you guys are where you're at now. Is that fair to say?
Oh, no question. Yeah, I mean, you know what it's like in Vegas, and it's a talking point, and you know, people here love their Rebels, so the passion's there and the excitement's there, and yeah, we've guys have dealt with a lot though. They've battled through injuries. They've been asked to be out of position. They've done their best to make it work, and then you know, obviously we've clicked pretty well over the last couple months.
There's not many situations in college basketball. There are some where a coach and his team puts so much on an 18-year-old kid, and that's who DJ is. But yet you set up a play yesterday where you get the switch that you want on the pick, and you just let the kid work, and he did, and he makes an enormous jump shot. Just talk a little bit about that and the confidence you have in DJ and what he's been able to do for you guys.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, most importantly, he's a low turnover guy, and when you have that position and you have somebody like DJ that is as good of a player as he is, and he's not a risk taker. He protects the ball and he makes sure we're going to get good looks. And this is a good team. It's a good group of players, and you know, the more we can keep our turnover numbers down, which we've done a really good job of this year, it gives us a better chance to win games. And obviously guarding at a really high level right now, but making sure we get looks at the rim is the most important thing offensively, and he does a great job of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned your defense. It's been incredible, particularly over the last couple months. It's been very consistent too. Talking to Kevin Kruger, head coach UNLV basketball, big win last night against San Diego State. So Thomas said after the game in the press conference that, you know, you guys owed them one because you guys went out to San Diego State, competitive game, but you guys lost that game. Do you feel that it's the same type of feeling now, the last game of the year in conference play before the tournament, where you're on the road to play your in-state rivals, Nevada, where some people might say, in a sense, you know, the last couple minutes of that game, you dominated most of the game. That game might have been given away a little bit, and that's not who you guys are. Is that the same sense now on the road where you owe them one?
Yeah, I think so. You know, we played really well for 37 minutes here versus them, and put ourselves in a chance to win. Just didn't hang on to it. So we know we can play with them. We know we can. You know, if we play well, we can give ourselves a chance to win. But also, we'll understand how hard of a game it will be. You know, in their home arena this time.
Right, no question. Can you explain to the fans the seating situation? And I know what's on your mind right now is Nevada. I get that. But it's a little bit confusing because, it seems like they're within a half a game or a game of first place. Can you explain where you guys are at right now and what you're looking at in this Nevada game as far as seeding, win, lose?
I actually can't. I don't know myself. I just know we've got a game on Saturday in Reno, and I don't know the tiebreakers. I don't know who wins and goes where. What I do know is that there's a bunch of very important games on Saturday across the board, and that's kind of what we've been talking about the last few weeks is how it's going to come down to the last game, and that's what great conferences I think do for the most part, and this is a great conference.
I felt like last night and even the Nevada game, the crowd felt like when you were playing your senior year for your father Lon here against like a BYU type team. You know what I mean? Like I felt that energy in the crowd, and I feel like maybe it hasn't been there in a while, at least not consistently. And it feels like you're starting to get that consistently now. That arena was very loud yesterday, especially the entire second half. Did it feel like maybe a little bit when you were playing in those rivalries, like against the BYU type teams?
Oh, there's no question. I think it's the loudest it's been since I've been here. But the last four home crowds have been really good with Reno, Colorado State, San Jose, San Diego State. We've had great support, and so it's really a good feeling that people came out and we were able to get some big home wins because it's a great place to play. It can get really loud. Fans are really passionate. So, but I agree with you. It was as loud and energetic and had just a great electricity in the air from the start.
What would it mean for you in the program? And let's just focus on the next game to be able to win this game on the road against Nevada Reno.
Well, I think it'd be 13 wins in conference would be something to be very proud of. 12 wins is something to be very proud of in a league like this.
Yep.
But to be able to get a 13th win would be, something that, you and I talked about last night, even after the game. There's a lot of people that, just to put it bluntly, quit on us, and that remember that and use it for fuel and use it for to get an edge and because this is the team over the last 2 months that we've known we are and we've known we were capable of from the start, all the way back to the summer when guys were getting into town but never to lose that edge. And understanding that they're playing for each other right now. They're enjoying it. They're having fun, and they really are just they just got a great energy to them in practices, and it's showing out in games.
And I think something that I didn't bring up throughout the year, either that I forgot or I just didn't think it was important, was that a lot of these guys didn't play with one another until this year. It takes a lot of time to get to know the players you're playing with, and I think it just shows that on the floor that the more they've gotten healthy and they've gotten to know each other a little bit more on and off the floor. I think that's a big part of this, Kevin. Would you agree to that?
Without a doubt. We've something that wasn't seen or talked about very much was we had a number of injuries in the fall where we didn't get a lot of practice time together as a full group. And, I think it showed early. We were still kind of trying to figure things out and figure each other out. And as the season's kind of gone along, guys have been able to play off of each other and just have a great chemistry and camaraderie out on the court. And then certainly over the last couple of weeks or couple months even, it's showing to just continue to get stronger as well.
I don't know if you'd agree with this statement or not, but in my personal opinion, I think you guys have as good a chance to win the Mountain West Conference tournament right now as anybody. I'm not sure I've said that over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. I think you guys are playing just as good a basketball as anybody in the league. And it's got to really feel good. And I know your focus is Nevada, but you're playing your best basketball at the right time. And I think every coach wants this, right? You want to be playing your best ball the first week of March, and you guys are clearly doing that.
Well, without question, you want to be feeling good at this point and just in going in every day to the office. And we do right now. We're feeling good. We're it's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of smiles, but it's also great intent. But Mountain West being as good as it is, I think it's going to be a crazy tournament like it usually is, and I think it's going to be a lot of exciting games.
Just quick last question: what did your father say anything to you? What was the first thing he said to you after the game yesterday? He must be very proud.
He was very excited. Him and my mom both were all smiles, and they were just really proud of the guys and happy to see us be able to get that one.
As are a lot of people, myself included. Kevin, we're all pulling for you. Go kick some butt on the road in Nevada. Boy, the Mountain West Conference tournament's going to be so much fun. And like I said, you guys have a better chance as much as anybody as winning the whole thing. But I know it's one game at a time. Go get them in Nevada. Appreciate your time, Kevin. Nothing more I'd want to talk about than a win on the road against Nevada. Go get them, and appreciate the time, my man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. That's Kevin Kruger, everybody, the head coach of UNLV basketball. And great win last night. Listen, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. And I'm glad I'm saying I was wrong. I didn't see UNLV basketball put in the spot that they're in right now, a half game out of first place. I didn't see it. That's a testament to Kevin Kruger. It's a testament to the coaching staff. It's a testament to the players. And I'm happy that I was wrong. I didn't see it playing out this way. The next week and a half is so crucial for this program, and it starts with this game on the road against Nevada Reno. Ileana, it has been a pleasure having you in studio as well, and I want to give out like the socials so people can follow me. And
Thank you
Ileana,
for having me. I always love being on here.
Well, good news, Ileana. Schedule, looks like Ileana is going to be joining us every week hopefully on Wednesdays. Maybe occasionally we might have to move around a day or two, but she's going to be joining us every week. I love getting her perspective, Ileana. I really do appreciate you being here. By the way, my YouTube page is at PTL Radio Show. If anybody wants to subscribe to my YouTube page, I'm all over social
Go on
media.
and subscribe now. I will tell you it's more than worthwhile, because he also does some overtime type content, so you don't want to miss out.
Yes, I appreciate that, Ileana, and I always appreciate you being here. Also appreciate Amy Tarkanian taking the time.
Yes.
Eric Swalwell, by the way. Eric Swalwell is going to be joining us on Friday. So
I'm a fan.
That's confirmed. So really looking forward to talking to him. And we also have Hunter Kane running for office here as a Democrat. He's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.